it's this these two professional fighters. One is doing Cragmaw and one is doing capoeira, and they're fighting off against it. Yeah,
I can say that one.
It's one of the coolest fight scenes I've seen, just because capoeira is really awesome and the history behind it. And then Cragmaw is just such a... Yeah, it's a dance. The slaves created it so that way they could practice their fighting while looking like they're dancing and everything. So it's sweet. But that was one of the coolest fight scenes I've seen. But no, that's awesome.
It's beautiful.
All right, press, and I'm sure it is for you.
It is. So, first, before we begin, let's do a little housekeeping. So while I'm doing this, make sure that if you did any of your feat, or if you chose to do a feat or a ability score upgrades, if you have questions about that, we can take care of that real quick. Otherwise, just make sure you have that in Roll20 as well as in D&D Beyond. That'll help just in case something dorky goes on with D&D Beyond, or with Roll20.
Preston, can we just do mine after tonight?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine. So we'll put that down. Trying to think. I think that's pretty much everything. So if everyone's good, everyone's ready, we will begin.
Is it just 1 point that you add?
Let's do this.
You add 1 point. You have 2 points total. You put 1 on each one. All right. If you must blink, do it now. Pay careful attention to everything you see and hear, no matter how unusual it may seem, even if it's dwarvish. Yeah. And please be warned, if you fidget, if you look away, if you loot a dead body of your companion, you're going to hell. Is everyone sitting comfortably? Please attend carefully as we begin.
We all found out last session what happened when you blink.
It's true.
It's true. Yes.
He blinked. Can confirm. Can confirm. Alright, the camera slowly comes back in from the death scene and the slow fade to black in the recently recovered altarpiece room of the gods that was once desecrated for the goblin god Magubliet, but has been restored to the 4 different gods of this particular region, as well as to Cont'd. And as you guys saw, the slow turning clockwork of his divine shield and the electric spark of his sword slowly sputter out, you are left to nothing but your thoughts.
That's all I got. Should we loot his body?
Well,
I'm looting his body. Thank you very much. That has been my plan for like the past 2 weeks, to loot his body.
Before we get going, remind me again. Yet last week I gave you guys all of the experience points, correct? We did the the loot in those rooms. And as a reminder, you guys went through, there was a mysterious figure watching, and you guys had also let loose a owl bear recently. Gundren is currently in the room. He had been drug in by the very sensitive dwarf, Dormorlo.
Pulled him by his hair.
I'm gonna help. Sleight of hand. Sleight of hand. It's perfect. Perfect.
What are our options here as it pertains to Roland?
Is this in-game or out-of-game?
You mean going to hell or not?
I'm already going to hell.
Wait. What makes you think that Roland is in hell?
No, like,
Is this in character or out of character?
out of character. Like, we never had someone die in D&D.
Okay.
I don't really know.
So, everybody roll me a religion check, please. Venfina, you can roll it with advantage. Clandon, when things die, they just turn to dirt. Dora Marlum, when things die, you pick their pockets or you cook them. One of the two. Aurora knows that things go to a higher plane of existence, not really quite sure what it is. Nobody knows? No. I'm putting the baseline at basically a 10 because this should be somewhat common knowledge that in this world, when somebody dies, it is very difficult to get their spirit to return back from the other side. Whether because they have accepted death, whether it's because they have been, they've fulfilled a contract and their soul is forfeit to a fiend or a god or whatever, ancient being that they might have made a contract with. But there are methods that clerics specifically are adept at opening that channel for communication with the spirit to kind of implore them to come back. The specific spell, you don't know what it's called, but the spell that there are different types of spells that they can cast, and you know that the quicker you're able to get a body to somebody, the more likely it is that they can rebind that soul to their body. If that makes sense. Otherwise, it gets more expensive and harder to do. But
I've seen enough dead.
Do druids usually have that kind of power?
It depends on the druid, I suppose. Mostly clerics. And as a reminder, because it's been a while since we've been in town, you have met a few clerics in the town of Phandalin.
Yeah.
Yes, you have. Specifically at the Shrine of Luck, there was a lady there that Venfina actually spoke with. Sister Grail.
Oh, in the cemetery thing?
Yeah, that little Shrine of Luck, where she got some health potions from her. So.
But only she knows about her.
Let's take him. Let's go.
So the smart thing or nice thing would be to take his body with.
No, I think he's.
You cut out.
As Dora Morlum,
And see if
for Dora Morlum, I think he made his peace when he died. With his final breath and words, I do not believe that he would want us to resurrect him.
It's a valid point.
I obviously think otherwise.
Paper, rock, scissors.
It's like oil and water in this room.
No.
Your argument is kind of undercut by the fact you're stuffing your pockets with my gold.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me look.
Because he said you'd go to hell, he actually meant rolling hell.
Yeah, it's true. So go ahead.
If that's the case, I'm already there.
Go ahead and Dora Morlum. I don't see any gold that you had in there. Go ahead and put 10 gold pieces in your pocket.
Let me see what I had gold-wise.
I want to done.
Just pull 10 gold off of yours, Roland, and then put 10 on yours, Dora Marlum.
Okay, that might be all I have. I don't think I had too much.
Okay.
No worries, I got it.
Thanks.
Don't worry, I'll keep it safe. Hold on. I gotta get a little one dressed.
No worries. So Gundren, kind of quiet in the corner, still bound in shackles. You hear him kind of clear his throat slightly. I'm dearly sorry about your friend. I'm glad to see you all got here safe. Although there's a few of you missing. Where are the others?
He actually knew all of us because he put us together, right?
This is the guy who commissioned all of you initially, except for Roland.
Who's missing?
We've got
A
Balthazar.
Dragonborn and
Zedek.
the
Ah,
druid.
yeah! Holy crap! It's been forever since we've seen them.
It's only been like a day, really. But yeah.
I hope they have not befallen ill on my account.
We've had a rough journey. We don't know what happened to them.
I can see that. I don't mean to be a burden, but would you mind loosening my bones?
Okay, your bones.
My bonds.
You need to
I totally heard bones too. I was like, whoa.
Take off these shackles! Glendon, I'll choke you. Get these off my hands now.
And remind me of his appearance. Isn't he?
He is haggard. He's torn up. He's very hurt. Looks like he's been beaten. He looks like he's been starved. He's got a black eye. He's very kind of swollen in his face. His stomach is just very. He's malnourished. He's looks lack of water for the last couple days. I mean, he's pretty rough.
Very good. Here, I got some healing for you. And then we need to talk about the cleric that you guys have. We need to get our friend here to a cleric. In your town of wherever.
Yes. Sister Grail, I believe, is the one you're speaking of.
Okay, Vandalin, right?
In Vandalin, yes. Sister Grail's very skilled at her craft. I would trust none other.
Well, are we doing that?
Okay, so
How are we gonna get in then? He's kind of a big dude, right?
he's a human. He's not.
He's human, but he's got his plate mail on, right?
It's not plate. It's
Is it
mail.
leather? Mail. Yeah, so
Put him on the dwarf.
he's reasonably. He's not heavy, but he's dead weight.
I don't carry nobody.
Tiger Lily, he might be able to pull him in some way if you want to try and fashion something.
Well then, Pina, how you want to do this?
Okay. Well, I would give Gundren. Is that who we're saving? Sorry.
Roland.
No.
Gundren.
Gundren Rockseeker, right?
I'm gonna give him
5 hit points.
Okay.
So he doesn't die on the way, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay. Perfect.
And
I'm gonna give him a couple of my rations too, since he's kind of hungry.
Okay. He thinks, as you hand it to him, he hastily pops the cork off and chugs it down. You see him kind of breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief. Thank you.
Slowly. Don't rush it, you'll get sick. You're welcome, by the way.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I am in your debt.
didn't we leave a cart somewhere? No. Not
Yes. You delivered his
when
cart.
we got attacked on a road like forever ago.
No, we just when we brought the goods, we left it with them.
Yep. You left him.
Okay.
If you remember, it was at the Barthen's Provisions. All right. So what are you doing?
All right. So could Tiger Lily possibly carry him?
I wouldn't say carry as much as drag.
Yeah, she would we would need to make some kind of lay him on kind of a cloth or something, and she could pull the cloth.
Let me see if I have any red cloaks still in my inventory.
Well, while they're
Yeah, we
figuring
had
that-
those. We had all of those things from when we pretended to be those bad guys. Does everybody still have those? We could tie them
I have
together or
one.
something.
Okay.
So while they're figuring that out, I'm actually gonna step outside over to this area where I sensed somebody staring at me and investigate.
Okay, go ahead, and you go ahead and you go outside. You come up to the portcullis and you look out. Right now, we are now into the latter part of dusk,
I went the wrong way.
starting twilight. So it's a little bit harder to see. You do see the flickering torch light in some of these windows. It's very dim. You're looking out into the tree line, but you don't seem to sense any movement at this moment, as far as things there. You go ahead and roll a survival check for me. 11. Okay. You see the place, to your right where there's that kind of the rubble that's falling through, and then that makeshift path that's there. You can see the fresh prints of an owl bear making its hasty escape. You can see where it scraped and kind of moved through. But this grass is pretty dry. It's not very soft or wet, so you're not getting a huge amount of new foot traffic. You see stuff here and there, but you're not really quite able to see a specific direction of where this person may or may not have gone. You can see evidence that they were there, but they seem to be very skilled in what they concealing their whereabouts.
Okay.
Going inside, go ahead and roll me a survival check for me, please. Or better yet, a medicine or survival, whichever is higher for your person. That's between Aurora and Benfina.
For sure.
And you can go ahead and do this with advantage because you've got time. So
I just wanted a medicine check.
either a medicine or a survival check, whichever one's higher.
Okay, then.
Now, also, while we're getting ready, I want to point out the fact that there's still a room of goblins here in this castle, and I want
That's
to
true.
point that out and ask the group, are we just going to leave those here? Are we going to come back for them? What are we going to do with that? Or do we want to try to defeat those before we go?
I think our main goal was to get Mr. Rockseeker here, so I think we're mission accomplished, right?
Yeah, I'm good leaving.
Okay. You guys are able to fashion out of some of the boards and things that you found in the next room. You're able to fashion a makeshift sling that he's able to sit in, basically a sled, that's a lot easier to drag him behind. Tiger Lily kind of reluctantly allows you to fashion this to her, but she takes it on like a yoke and is able to pull him with relative ease. You guys ready to head?
Yay, Tiger Lily.
Let's bounce.
Does Tiger Lily need a boost of health or anything before she starts dragging him?
She is almost at half health right now.
Okay. I mean, I can give her a couple, or if she needs to be.
Okay.
I mean, if you want hand, but she isn't like dying.
I think
I'll give her 4 hit points. Is what I can give her. Just so she's got, strength to. It's gonna be a long journey to take it back. So.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Which way you guys going?
out the back
Yeah, I agree.
and around
Okay, so up
the
through
right side.
the right side. Okay. Obviously, can't go through the portcullis, so you guys go down through the curtain, pull yourself out through the apps area outside here. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, where I'm at.
Okay, Gundren, he's able to pretty well carry himself at this point. So, as you guys are leaving outside, and you step outside, obviously with this grating and the scraping sounds of the tiger, or of Tiger Lily pulling this grate, you guys hear some rustling in the woods or in the bushes, and the raucous laughter of an all too familiar hobgoblin voice. They're going to... It's no surprise round because they're not expecting someone to be in front of them. So everybody go ahead and roll me initiative while I get these tokens on the right layer. They come emerging from the bushes. You notice that one of them is carrying himself with a little bit more light on his feet than the others. This is a little closer than what these guys actually are. These guys are actually probably further up in the bushes, but I don't have any more room up there.
Thank you.
They're on top of Clandon! No, they come around the bush, and you see that they have a couple of sacks hanging at their waistline, and one of which they're pulling out and laughing, which seems to be the severed head of an elf.
Oh my goodness. What is going on?
So
They're evil.
Alright. Who's roll?
They see you.
Alright, yeah, let's get this over with. Come on.
They stuff, and battle commences. Let's get these guys. Initiative.
What's happening?
Initiative.
You don't want me rolling an initiative, right?
Yes. Roll for the other. Yes.
The other. Okay.
The other. All right. Did I get them all? Yes, I think I got them all. Go ahead and roll yours, and then I'll do it.
There it is.
I don't have
Oh, hold on.
a figure though.
Okay. I'll just manually put it in there. Go ahead and just roll something, and I'll put it in.
How come I'm at the bottom?
Let me grab my initiative here.
Okay. That's a
Hi.
10. All right. We'll go ahead and Duelist is descending. Clandon, you're first. Go ahead, and you see these hobgoblins again come sauntering out of the woods, proud. These definitely have the look of hobgoblin who had a successful hunting party and are returning from the spoils of their fight.
Yeah, so seeing them being kind of emotional, upset, angry right now that Roland's died, and now seeing them carrying the head of an elf, I just lose it and get. I mean, I'm in a crazy emotional state. I'm just
Okay.
I'm fired up.
Okay.
I'm gonna just blast these guys.
Okay, go for it.
Hate
And
flow.
from all that emotional
Embrace.
and all that energy, I start to feel that power surge in me again that I'm still unfamiliar with. But I'm gonna go ahead and shoot my arrow. I'm trying to remember what it's called here. Bear with me. And And so yeah, and so I'm essentially going to be shooting as a Planar Warrior, and
Okay.
it's just going to augment my attack with an extra
Perfect.
1d8.
Okay. So go ahead and
That's not what I wanted.
you've rolled. You got the 1, 2, 20, 9. What's that for?
I'm just shooting the
that's-
closest one.
This is for something else. Sorry.
Okay, so
Preston, which one has the elf head?
the
in
one
his
that's
hand?
currently, he seems to be carrying himself as the leader of the pack. He's the one in the middle. He's the one that's kind of laughing, showing his subordinates. The guy in the center.
Alright,
Yeah.
so do I got full visibility of him?
Yes, they've come out of the brush, and you can see them plainly.
Then yeah, he's the one I'm shooting for.
This is what he looks like, except he's got a elf head in his hand. All right. So you roll a 16. He does not have his shield out, and shields are +2. That's a 16 even armor class. It goes to, I can't remember. The tie goes to the defender.
Tie
Is that
goes
right?
to the attacker,
Is it
Tie
the
goes to
attacker?
the attacker.
Okay, so it's the attacker. So yes, it just hits.
so he hits.
Yep. So go ahead and roll your damage. And then augment your damage with that if you haven't already.
Oh yes.
All right. So as you draw back, and you feel this energy
I
pulse.
just let off like a guttural, like as much as I can, being half elf, you know.
Okay. Totally. So how do you want to get your one-shot, one kill?
Headshot, of course.
Okay. So
the elf head or the hobgoblin head?
Come on, roll it. Come on.
Too soon.
How about goblin's head for sure?
Okay, so as you draw back and you feel this familiar energy pulsing through you, each of you from behind, you're not, because it's kind of darker, and you guys are still kind of focused a little bit more on Roland. You look to see Roland notching arrow, and this pulsing glow. I'm sorry, Clandon.
Roland's back.
I'm reading people's names as I'm saying things, and it doesn't work that way. So, so he fires this arcane bolt, and as it lances through this hobgoblin, right through his head, the hobgoblin kind of looks confused, and he looks over at you, and there seems to be no effect. And after a moment, his head just, and he just falls to the ground, limp as noodle, and drops the skull. The other two hobgoblins kind of look at him. Each of them are actually going to make a fear check.
This is my friend, and he's crazy.
Natural 1 and a 4.
We gonna kill you.
These guys are now considered feared by Clandon, which means neither one can move closer or closer to you. They can move adjacent to you, and they cannot make attacks or actions without. I think it's just attacks with. They have to do so with disadvantage whenever you're in line of sight with them. And that's mostly not something that's going to happen all the time. It's just for flavor because you hit something that was pretty cool. So,
Nice.
All right.
And it's kind of dark, so they're seeing that kind of glow of my tattoo. You know?
Right.
It's got
The
this
black.
got kind of an ethereal kind of glow around me. Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Plus, I'm like a little bloodied from the battle. You know.
These tendrils, and then they have this brackish blood just smattered across their face. Yep, there it is. Frightened creature.
Okay.
All ability checks.
I'm gonna shoot him. Hopefully, kill them.
All right.
Geez, Roland's death hit Vamfina hard. Now she's all about murder.
9 misses.
Murder.
Some of you do, just as a reminder, some of you make sure that you last time had advantage knocked off, so if you want to use it at some point, or inspiration, I'm sorry, not advantage.
Did I get him in your knee or anything?
I can't, I don't know. If you got it last time and you marked it down, then...
Apparently, I didn't need to use my inspiration.
So no, that does not hit. Do you have any bonus actions you'd like to take?
No.
Okay, so you knock the crossbow bolt, shoots
I
past.
want to move. I want to move.
Okay, go ahead and move.
Right there.
All right. So you've moved ahead. If you move there, it'll be into the rubble.
Yeah,
But you
I'm
could hide
trying to
yourself,
move
yeah?
halfway.
So you'd have half cover maybe from there.
I'll just move.
Alright, that's fine. Alright, so Hobgoblin now goes. The one that you just shot in the head, so he's already dead. Next thing, as you guys are fighting, you hear a very odd sound that you've never really heard before. What could it be?
Sorry, guys.
Is it the owl bear?
Yes, that's my new character.
He's the owl bear. Roland, would you like?
Come back to save us.
Roland, would you like to describe your entrance to the battlefield?
Yeah, first of all, I need to roll these two. They are basically banked rolls for later that I can trade out because I am that type of person apparently. And I got 2 10s, nice. So I'm just coming out of the woods then?
Yeah, you're coming out of the woods to the north. Good.
So coming out of the woods is a very strange creature. He is green. He has a walking stick, and he kind of is hunched over. His body looks scaly, the parts of it that aren't shell, at least.
Thank you, buddy.
And he has draped over his shoulder. He's got this large carrying case that looks like a giant scroll case made out of wood. And he comes out of the woods, and he just, I mean, if anybody here has ever seen a turtle, he looks like a giant tortoise, but standing upright. And he kind of eyes the party a little bit, and then he nods his head, and he turns towards the hobgoblins and goes, "You should not be here." And then he's going to reach out one of his hands, and this ball of acid is just going to spray from his hand and hit. I'm going to hit this hobgoblin right here with it.
Okay. Go ahead and make your attack.
So that's this.
And it's
So
a
he
DC
has to make a
13,
save.
which
Yep.
is at disadvantage, so. Because he is feared and within line of sight. So dexterity save.
It's a turtle.
The lesser of the two is 4, so he does not succeed. And that's 2 acid damage.
Yep, just 2 acid damage.
So
And they're not close enough for.
So you're a turtle that shoots acid?
Sounds like Yoda, the turtle, the turtle.
I am a lot of things.
I don't know who you are, but you're welcome to join.
I am Groot.
Estoy Groot. Tiger Lily is able to make attacks, question mark, but
Roland dragging behind her.
she's gonna have to do any of it with a disadvantage.
She shoot acid out of her mouth?
She can do it, but it's gonna be at disadvantage and half speed.
It's stomach acid.
I'm just gonna pass on her turn. I'm
Okay.
not gonna let her attack.
She's gonna
this
play defensive.
She's gonna
and
kinda-
take care of Roland's body.
She's gonna kind of paw the
Yeah.
ground and look defensive, kind of curl up against Roland, so that way she kind of uses him as a body shield, essentially. What do you do?
Rawr.
Rawr.
Oh, my turn.
Yep. And Dora Morlem, you're on deck after the next hobgoblin.
Can I shoot over Dora Morlem? Is he short enough that I can do that?
Over Dora Morlem.
Can always. move
I
around.
would rule that, like, I would just assume that if you wanted to go north, we don't have enough space on this map, but there is space to the north of you that's not obstructed. So, yeah, that'd be fine. We'll just move him down here for the time being.
There.
Yeah.
There.
Just
Now
gonna
there's room.
go around him. Do 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 do
Yep.
do.
You'd sidestep him. Take a shot.
I am
Yes.
only. I'm a very short dwarf at 3'8", so even your bow would be above my head.
Okay, so I'm gonna shoot at this guy.
Okay. Go ahead and make your attack.
Nice.
18 does hit. Plus 2 to 22, yes, does hit. Plus 4. 5 piercing damage. Perfect. All right. So you take your shot, you step to the side, pull an arrow. You hear the familiar whistle of an arrow as it sticks into his shoulder. He's still fumbling for his shield and longsword at this point. At which point, this hobgoblin, seeing that there's battle to be had, he pulls his shield and his sword from behind him and puts them at the ready, and he is going to, at this point, since he can't move towards you, he is going to try and make a defensive stance. He's going to try and evade on his next turn. Excuse me. And it would normally put him at advantage, but now the disadvantage is basically just going to be normal, if that makes any sense. He's going to now do his roll to see if he can shake the fear. As a constitution. Invisible, paralyzed, conscious, petrified, poisoned, frightened. Which one is it?
So the frightened condition doesn't necessarily have a way to save out of it. It's pretty much what you would want. But I think frightened would be a wisdom or intelligence, personally.
That's kind of what I'm thinking too. So it's just gonna go ahead and hit a wisdom. If it's anything lower than a 15, he got rolled a 14, so he's still frightened. And next up, Dormorlum. Dormorlum. Will the real Dormorlum please stand up? Please stand up. I will assume that he's caring for babies. If you're talking, we can't hear you.
Yeah, my mic was kind of up. Anyways, I draw weapons and move beside Clandon here, and that's all I can.
Okay, so you go ahead and move forward. Other hobgoblin. He's going to go ahead and pull his bow. He's going to try and fire some arrows at Clandon. And he's going to do so with disadvantage. That's a 15. Does a 15 hit?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 9 piercing damage. And 1 second, there might be some additional damage. Scroll. Once per turn. Weapon if that creature is within 5 feet of an ally. Ooh. Okay, so that's plus an additional 7 damage.
How much total?
So that is 9 plus 7. 16. He has martial advantage because you are within range of his buddy.
Are you dead?
Nope, but I'm close.
And at this point, he's going to go ahead and make his save, wisdom saving throw, see if it's anything lower than a 15. It fails.
If Clandon dies, everybody's going to forget about Roland.
Right? He rolls a 6, he's still afraid of you. So, next. Clandon, it is your turn.
So I take that shot, but with the adrenaline that's going, the energy that's pulsing through my body, it doesn't even faze me. In fact, it just angers me more, and I just start walking towards these guys while I drop my bow, start pulling out my, slowly pull out my sword as I'm walking towards these guys, and I just come straight up to this closest guy, and go for an attack.
Okay, go ahead and roll your attack. Roll
Any
high.
chance it's at an advantage because he's frightened of me?
Technically, unless it's like a dexterity saving throw, no.
Okay.
But since you're attacking him, it doesn't really impose advantage for you.
And what were you saying about roll high?
I said roll high for cinematic.
And I'm still my planar warrior is still active.
Okay. So go ahead and roll your attack, and a 19 does hit, even with his shield out. Well done. So this is assume. Did you say you were using just the sword? Eric?
Yep, just the sword. It was single hand.
Okay.
I didn't really describe that
Okay.
very well, but
No worries. Okay, so 6 slashing damage plus your 1d8. That's the planar warrior. That's total. Yes. So he also dies. Clandon. How do you want him to die? Technically, he was dead on the first hit, and then you overkilled by 7. So, how do you want him to die?
I just kind of did an upward, or no, I just kind of came down on his neck towards his torso.
Okay. So something that's very uncharacteristic of a hobgoblin is to show fear. It is one of the things that, as a martial race, and them priding themselves entirely on being completely in control and just very calculated and whatever, you see his eyes widen, and you see not only the large breadth of his nose start to flare up, but you see his teeth in fear as he starts to kind of pull back. And with one quick fell slash, again, you guys are seeing this tendrils of arcane planar energy that are just seething out of Clandon as he deposes of yet another goblin. You slash him and he falls. Most people, you know, it's dark enough you can't see what's happening exactly. You just see this hobgoblin just collapse in front of Clandon. That's 2 down. Vinfina. Vinfina?
Oh, me already. Ah!
Steve, your shake is there.
Go on to the last one. Come on.
Last one, quote unquote.
Ooh, nice.
All right.
I'm assuming that hits.
Yes, that does hit. And that's 8 piercing damage. And you hit him, and you see the impact of this as he's kind of knocking his arrow, and you knock him backwards. He looks your direction. Again, the same expression of just like disbelief, not really sure what's happening. After coming off of such a high from killing what seems to have been 6 or 7 elves, they're just being dispatched one after another.
Stay down. We gotta go save our friend.
Turtle, it is your turn.
Ah, I guess that last one didn't teach you a lesson. Well, let's see how you like it again. And I'll just cast acid bolt again. So
Perfect.
Or acid splash.
DC save 13. So he rolls at disadvantage. He is still frightened. So that's a 6. He misses. How would you like him to die?
Well, it's acid, so obviously the acid hits him right in the face and then just melts his face off like in Face Off.
Perfect. You just see him kind of and then falls. And he is dead. Tiger Lily, can you have her roll me perception, please? I believe she's at advantage on these checks.
What would perception also be classified as?
That one.
Wisdom.
Wisdom, yes. And she has advantage on these checks, so you can roll it a second time, see if she also is able to. So, yes, she does make it. So, at this point, the rest of you are kind of in the heat of this battle, looking at the hobgoblins. Tiger Lily, her eyes narrow, she's looking, like a mother cat protecting her cubs. Just looking around back and forth, and she looks out into the distance, and she sees a familiar form of a large owl bear with blood smattered across its face, and the head of a wolf dangling from its mouth. And it gives kind of a tip of its head in approval towards Lily's, Tiger Lily's direction. And Tiger Lily, again, in a primal sense of I see you and I understand what you've done for us, thank you. She kind of nods, tips her head and closes her eyes for a second. And the battle rages on, none the wiser.
Ooh.
Let's go. Hurry.
Yeah, are there more hobgoblins around?
At this point, you guys have completed combat. You've killed 3 hobgoblins and kind of killed 2 wolves, but not really.
You're welcome.
So, at this point, you guys, we're going to take 500 XP divided by everybody.
100 each.
It's 100 each of you. So go ahead and put that in your thing. Yes. So you see the bodies laying there, each of them deposed in their each unique fashion, as well as their bounty of elven heads.
Well, it doesn't appear like I needed to come quite as quickly as I did, but I'm glad that I caught up with you all.
Well, whoever you are, we gotta get our friend to a cleric and see if we can't help him.
Right, of course. How foolish of me not to introduce myself. My name is Wise Yori. I am a diviner of sorts, and I was told that you might need assistance getting your friend there back home.
Who told you that?
The water, the bones.
What do you want?
Oh, nothing. I am merely following the will of the world.
Welcome.
Okay.
But don't let me slow you down. You said you needed to hurry?
Yeah, I want to say, I actually, like, after kind of the battle ended there, I'm hurting pretty bad. The adrenaline's starting to leave, and the energy, the planetary energy, starts to leave me, and I just, like, kind of pass out onto the ground.
Well, I don't have any potions. I already gave them my other one, and I guess remember it was a little expired.
Guys, I don't feel so well.
What a group.
Another one.
Quick, check his pockets.
Wait, I want to do that.
We need to have a healing potion on him. Does anyone have a healing potion?
Investigation. Are you truly unconscious? Clandon.
Can anybody cast Cure Wounds or?
I wouldn't say I'm fully unconscious.
Okay.
I would leave that to you, Mr. DM, but
I will let you roll a perception check to see in your stupor if while your friends are catching you and checking your pockets, if you see.
Alright, well, I'm gonna go over there. Can I roll like a strength check and
You
snap his hands?
You feel a dwarf grabbing your butt cheek, but Aurora, she makes off with 5 gold.
I knock him out with my warhammer.
Venfina, if you'd like, you can intervene.
Guys, this is no time for this. I slapped their hands, but I don't leave a road mark, obviously.
Okay.
thought we were friends.
Paladin.
Don't touch that poor
Go!
Don't touch me there. Oh, what a... Just the same as when I found you. Master Turtle, glad that you came. I am Gundren the Rockseeker.
Very happy to meet you, Gundren. Your friends here that you've contracted seem a little, preoccupied.
You two
Indeed.
know each other?
There. No. But I try and make it my business to know the people in these parts, so... let us be off. If there is any hope for your friend here, we must make it quickly.
That's exactly what I've been saying. Let's go!
Okay, so you guys...
How much gold did I get? I didn't hear that.
10.
And 100 experience.
100 experience all to everybody, yes. And the only person that might have seen it is like maybe Venfina, but Clanton, you would not have been aware of her taking the gold.
Yeah.
Alright, so you guys are able to make it out. As you guys are kind of hoisting things out, Gundren kind of helps bear the load to try and increase the speed at which Tiger Lily can move. And you're able to make it out kind of hobbling and broken, but still whole, mostly, kind of, to the Tribor Trail. As you exit these woods, you're dragging, and you're hearing the thud of the timbers that you're using as they go across different rocks and other pieces of foliage covering this very thick forest that is the Neverwinter Wood. You exit and see the familiar twilight, the stars in the sky and the crickets as they're kind of chirping in the distance. And you come down this Nully Hill and see the familiar highway of the Tribor Trail. You guys are able to make it down to the actual city of Phandalin. Can you see this, by the way, Roland? I don't remember if I have a token on for you.
I don't. Yes, I can see it. I can see it.
Okay, cool. Alright, so everybody makes their way down here. And you're able to, as you continue, you hear a breath of relief from Gundren as you see the small smoke just lazily drifting into the wind, and the smell of what seems to be, you know, the very late into the evening supper for those who might be awake in the tavern having a drink or two. And he says, "Oh, that's a sight for sore eyes. I didn't think I'd ever see it again." You guys are able to make your way into the town of Phandalin.
And
I go straight for the closest bar.
Okay. So as you guys are dragging, Dormolam just kind of saunters past and finds his way to the familiar Stonehill Inn, where you guys have lodged before. Unless you want to go down to the Sleeping Giant, which is a little more rough place, and you lost all your money there last time, so it's up to you.
have we brought Tiger Lily into the town before?
You brought her out of the town, and it turned a few heads.
Anyway, we don't care. Come on, we gotta go.
Most of the town at this point, that we're talking, this is probably 8 or 9 in the evening, and for this type of town, most people are either sleeping or drinking.
Alright.
They'll be tidying up, just that kind of town. So you guys make it in there, and as you're kind of dragging it forward, Dormolan breaks off. You guys see to your left, as you're coming through on the dirt road, the familiar Luck Shrine. You do see a small candlelight in the building next to the shrine, which you recognize to be the home of Sister Grail, who you'd spoken to before.
Is she outside? Or is she inside?
Gundren sticking with us?
Gundren is still with you, yes. I mean, he's haggard, but he's kind of licking his lips, watching the other dwarf walk off to the inn. But he has a better sense of duty, I guess. Not to be rude.
Gundren, I know you want a drink. Come with me.
You start.
And you owe me a mini drink.
You start without me. I've got things to take care of here. So you knock on the door, and you hear some fumbling upstairs, and kind of a opening, shutting of doors, and kind of sliding of things, and after a little while, you hear the footfall on some thick wooden stairs, as and she opens the door. Yes, may I help you? And she kind of looks out. Still blinking. She's got a little candle.
Oh, Sister Grail. We need your help. We have a comrade that fell. And we heard you were the cleric that we should go to see about helping us with this situation.
Oh my, he's hurt? Where? Show me. Where is he?
He's more like dead.
Dead? Well, what took you so long? She immediately rushes out, trying to inspect the patient, and she says, "Come in, bring him now." And then she ushers you into her living quarters. It's very kind of barren. The downstairs there is a small kitchen-like area. You see a stairway immediately from the front door that goes upstairs to her sleeping quarters. And inside this room, it's very kind of dark. She goes and lights some candles, and then she had like a small vase of like prairie flowers on the table, and she just sweeps it off, and she says, right here, bring him here."
He's only mostly dead.
I'm in denial, obviously. Bring him to
All right, so she has to set him down, and she says, "Well, I wasn't. I'm not prepared for this, but I need something. I need something that we can harness his spirit. I need something of great value. What do you have? And she kind of looks to each of you as far as what offering do you guys have that is of great value?
1 pearl of undetermined value on page 29.
Okay. 1 second.
A tutu, yeah.
Page 29.
Steven, check the messages.
I did.
Okay. So she accepts it, and she says, This'll do for part of it, but we need more.
I show her the, I pull out and show her the...
Wait, are you still passed out?
No, apparently I walked here.
With an arrow in his leg.
I'm hurting, but apparently I can walk. But I go ahead and pull out of my sack I've got a swirling white potion. I don't really know anything about it. I've been hoping to find out about it, but I'm like, does this help?
Okay, swirling white potion. Do you remember which page it was on?
I did not take note of that.
Okay, I think I know which one it was. That was when you're in the bottom of the mansion, correct?
The manor, I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second.
I have a ring of protection.
It might be around like page 24 or so.
Okay. I'm grabbing it right now. All right, so she takes it and she kind of uncorks it and she sniffs it a little bit, kind of looks at it cockeyed, squints a little bit to see, you know, if her eyes are there. She smells it again, looks at you, continues to look in the compendium. Ah, it's scrolling! Stop scrolling! I know which one it is. Stop scrolling. Okay, and so she grabs it and she says, "This is indeed of great worth, but I'm afraid it's still not enough. What is we need something to anchor his soul, something." And she looks down. She sees the artifacts that he holds, and she says, "I see he's a child of Cont'd, and what he needs, he requires more than simply stuff. He wants you to give something of your creation, of something that binds the two of you together stronger than him and his deity."
He's healed me a lot. Can I give you some of my blood or something?
I believe what she is saying is that the best gift is the crafted gift.
Hold on, let me go whittle some more. Give me a minute.
So she's still holding the potion. She's got the pearl. Is there anything else while your friend is looking for sticks?
I have an amulet.
Okay. Do you know what amulet it is?
Yeah, it's my amulet that I use.
Of your deity?
Does she give it back? Then Bina, that's like really good. Will you get that back?
Or I have a ring of protection.
We don't have anything.
And she explained. Are you asking me? Are you asking her? Or are you asking?
I'm asking her.
Okay, if you're asking Lady Grell, and generally an offering is to be given freely and usually is consumed in the magic. So typically,
And don't give her the amulet because you use that.
Ring of protection, you say?
I have a ring of
Well, I suppose this might do, but I'm afraid that we might come short. I'll begin the preparations, and so at this point she starts doing things. Clandon, you're doing your thing, right?
Yep, I'm whittling away.
Okay, you're grabbing your stuff, and as you see this is a very, very ritualistic thing. She lights these candles in a very specific order, very slowly, and she gets these items and she places them. She smooths off his tabard and makes sure that the shield is sitting just right, and everything, so that he's just the picture of perfection on a kitchen table, and she sets the items slowly, each one onto the shield of where the emblem of Gonda once was moving. And at this point, you start to hear a glow, and she starts to give this low guttural mantra. And as you hear her just kind of over and over, kind of tilting back and forth, you sense that there's something different about this room. It's more lively. It's like the hair on the back of your neck starts to raise up. And so she continues and gets this to this point, and you see her eyes open and just sheer sheen white. And you start to hear the voice of what you recognize as Roland's voice.
Roland, where are you?
Hello? Is anybody in there? What is Roland seeing? Like, is he hearing this?
So at this point, what Roland's hearing, you're kind of you're in the ether. It's very, you're neither here nor there, but you're everywhere at the same time, and you feel yourself being drawn to the presence of Cont'd. And while you still feel some semblance or some thought of what once transpired, you've kind of you've released all kind of what's the word? You've lost the gravity of what was happening in that moment, and you've gained perspective. You know what I'm saying? And you're kind of floating through the cosmos, and you feel this warm glow behind you, and as you turn around, you're now seeing through the eyes of Sister Grail.
What?
Don't go towards the light. Run away.
Can I move and look around?
You're able to use her as a mouthpiece, essentially.
Okay.
And you can see you can see what's on the table before you. You can see the people, but you're not necessarily able to possess her.
That's me. I'm dead. Who?
Roland, is that you?
Clandon?
Yes, Roland.
Clandon, what are you doing? I was drifting. Such peaceful drifting. What are you doing? What were you?
We were trying to save you.
We want you back, man.
Really?
Our parting was so abrupt. What do you want, Roland? Are you wanting to come back, or?
I see a workshop. The greatest workshop ever before me. But I don't feel like it's for me. Not yet. I can feel what you sacrificed.
At this point, you hear, in the room as well as with Roland, you hear the sound of a bell tolling, a deep dong, and then you hear dust. Yeah, you see dust kind of shake from the ceiling, and Roland, you start to feel the pull of something pulling you towards, which you recognize is Cont'd, trying to pull you to him.
So as I'm feeling the pull, this is all coming through the mouthpiece, but I'm not speaking to the party anymore. I start praying, oh great Cont'd, please, there's so much more work that I can do for you here. Don't take me away yet.
Okay. Clandon? Where are you at your preparation?
I'm
whittling like a madman.
You take one point in slashing damage from whittling. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. He's unconscious. No, he's dead too.
Killing himself from doing whittling to save Roland.
Sister Grail, we need you again.
So I did my best quick whittle of I once saw a picture of that I think Roland had of Cont'd, and he had this nice hammer which he used in his craft, and
Could we have used a
it was
hammer?
a pretty simple shape, so I did my best to whittle a replica of that hammer.
And then you run by the blacksmith who has his hammers just laying around, and you're like, "This is."
Me.
Well, either way, you set it down, and Roland specifically, you hear the sound of like a large clock. These large gears start. And you feel yourself falling, and Sister Grail kind of pulls her back. Her eyes go back to the normal color. She breathes in heavily and kind of slumps back into a chair. At which point, you guys see on the shield, you see the gears start to once again turn. You see his sword start to flare with that lightning-ish energy, and Roland takes another breath.
Roland!
I think that's the only words Clandon knows now.
Well, oh, that did quite the number.
Roland, heal me.
I'm down to 1 point. I win.
What does Roland come back with?
I would say he is going to be. We'll give him 5 hit points at this point, and then he's going to need to finish a long rest with. Right now, he's got a point of exhaustion, essentially, just as a coming back. But once you have that long rest, you should be fine.
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking with you, Roland. We're in town. I'm not worried about anything.
But as far as your spells, whatever your spells you had before are still prepared.
You trip and die.
Okay, yeah. Well, I had no spell slots left, and I had.
Well, technically, you guys did. No, you didn't do a long. Yes, you did.
No,
There-
we
haven't
haven't.
rested.
You didn't do a short rest.
No, we haven't done anything.
Mm-mm.
No, anything? Okay, cool. All right, so yes, there you are. Wherever you're at, that's where you're at.
So I sit up and I kind of look around the room and I just smile at everybody. I'm just like, you guys really went to all that trouble?
Of course.
Well, most of us did. Then Fina and Aurora and Tiger Lily did most of the work.
And Turtle.
And the turtle dude.
Oh,
Mr. Wise Yori here. You haven't met him.
oh, well, hello, Mr. Wise Yori. Hello to you too, young Roland.
Duality.
Oh, and we got Gunther. What's his name?
Gundren Rockseeker. Clandon slaps you upside the head.
Sorry, Gunjan, you're gonna have to forgive me. I'm like really short on blood here, you know.
You'd think if I paid you as well as I did that you'd remember my name.
I'm gonna actually beckon Clandon over.
Okay.
And,
Which you?
Which me? The Roland me.
Okay.
Roland beckons Clandon over, and he places his hand on Clandon's shoulder, and he goes, "Thank you for everything that you did to help me." And I'm going to use the last 8 points in my lay on hand pool so that he can regain 8 hit points.
Perfect.
Whew.
You hear Sister Grail. She's, I didn't think we'd quite make it, but it was good. I think my work here's done. Excuse me, I need to go lay down. And at which point, Sister Grail, looking just completely sapped, cold sweat, kind of stumbles up the stairs and goes to lay down to kind of recuperate. As she's going up, she says, "Lock, Gondrin, lock the door on the way out."
thank you, Sister Grail.
She's kind of just
Yes, thank you.
a nonchalant hand with the finger up, and yes, I got you. All right, well, we best get out of here. She's going to need her rest.
I look around and see if my swirling white potion got used.
So you see where on the table where they were, there's just a pile of dust, and it glitters. It's shiny, but it's not worth anything at this point. The pearl.
You didn't even tell me what it was.
The pearl, the potion of invisibility, and and the ring of protection, and your thing. It was basically up to 500 gold worth of stuff. For the record, pearl was worth 100 gold. The potion, I want to say it was 200 gold. And then the ring of protection, I made a fudge on that one. And then you took up the rear with the crafted item. I gave it sentimental value.
Nice.
Well, always need sentimental value.
Does the potion of invisibility like give him kind of a see-through?
I'm ghostly. I'm
Nope.
more protected.
Nope.
He shimmers when he walks through the
A
sun.
new ability to go on invisible on.
You've got some glitter there that if you wanted to smear it on your face, you could go full drag.
Does Roland see this and know what it is?
The pile of ash. Roll a religion check for me. Anything above let's say a 12, you would recognize this as just offering.
Yeah, I gotta pull Roland up. I only had the other guy.
Okay.
The other guy.
The other guy. Yes.
Oh.
You recognize this as this is the dust of the very valuable items. You're not sure what they were, but the items that were offered to bind your soul or bring your soul back to make that plea with Cont'd.
So Roland actually moves over to the pile, and I'm gonna reach into my my mini pockets that I have all over because I'm a tinkerer, and I'm gonna pull out a small pouch, and I'm going to gently scoop the dust into this pouch and start tying a kind of a leather cord around it to hang around my neck.
Okay. Perfect. That's a good reminder.
Should we get Gundren home?
At this point, you see wise Yori starting to saunter off.
Yori, where are you going?
Oh, I was just here to make sure that he got back safely. But if you ever need me, well, I'll know and I'll be there.
You're a funny guy.
Is there any little bit of divination that Wise Yori can give the party at this point?
Absolutely.
Just as a parting phrase that he can give to it doesn't have to be clear.
Can I ask him a question?
Go for
I can
it.
wait after this.
Is it gonna be
Let's roll for the turtle. Let's see. Would this be wisdom or intelligence? Because doesn't he have a built-in roll for divination?
So I don't have any specific spells of divination. I just have kind of a portent thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's. Yeah. So I guess as a parting.
I can roll a general arcana check.
Go ahead and roll an arcana check just to see how specific or non-specific. Yeah, it's pretty generic.
Yeah.
Watch out for spiders. Especially black ones. Seems they have it out for you.
Beware the black spiders. And then he kind of just walks, and at one point it looks like he fades behind a building, and people think that maybe he's gone. But then he comes out the other side of the building and just kind of continues walking, and he just happens to be slow, and people kind of turned away.
And then he might offer one more bit of information to look for the druid, but not the one that you're thinking of.
Ah!
One. Not right up.
Search for the druid, but not for your friend.
Perfect.
And then as he's passing by like a little kid, he goes, "Don't eat any more sweets, fatty." That's not really divination. That's just him being an old turtle.
And he goes off.
Who is he talking to?
Just a little kid.
What a jerk.
Oh, was that a little kid or was that Dorabolo?
You're a cynical turtle.
I have to make funny short jokes because my DM makes fun of my height.
Aww.
And it's fun. All right, cool. Well, you guys did it. You guys were able to make it there, and we have some extra experience for getting Gundren back to the town in one piece. That is an extra. That's an extra 200 experience points divided by 5.
50. No.
40 XP apiece.
40 experience points apiece. For each of you making it back in there, make sure that you did mark off the stuff that you had lost in there. And at this point, you hear a sigh of relief and a deep breath from Gundren. Oh, it's good to be back. Where's Sildar? I need to have a drink with that old coot.
It's probably still in the townmaster's hall. He likes to work.
Aye, that he does. So you see him kind of sauntering off in that direction towards the townmaster's hall. And he says, if you guys get drinks, tell them it's on me. But don't let the dwarf know. I know how dwarves like to drink. Alright, so he exits. What are you guys doing? Yeah, right now it is, like I said, it's like 9:30, pushing 10 o'clock after that whole thing with Sister Grail and the ritual, essentially. And it's now kind of the chill of the evening is set in. You hear the hooting of owls. You hear just the town settling. What do you do?
I'm going to the Stonehill Inn and gonna prep myself for a long rest.
Agreed.
You need to sleep for like 2 nights.
That sounds good.
I'm gonna stay and just tidy up in Sister Grail's.
Okay. So you see the small wooden vase on the floor with the flowers that she had tossed aside. You're able to pick that up and
The flowers get mushed or they get stuck.
just basically just kind of got tossed aside. So it wasn't really mushed. They just kind of got thrown off the table in a rush. You see a couple of those what are they called? Doilies. You put them back up where they go and just kind of make the house a little bit more presentable.
Okay, and then I lock up after I leave. And actually, I wanted to. Yeah, I'll come back. Anyway, I wanted to go to the shrine and leave 7 coins, 1 for each of our companions.
Okay. So as you're closing the door, you hear this really loud snoring upstairs. You wouldn't. It was unearthly from the size of a woman that you thought would make this noise. It sounds like a grizzly bear. And you close the door, lock the door, come out, and you kind of make your penance. And you just leave the coins there and walk off, or?
Well, it's a well, isn't it?
This one's kind of a well. It's got the well. It's not. It's kind of like a pool more than a well, or like a fountain.
I also wanted to burn some incense at the shrine.
Okay. So go ahead and mark off the 7. You said gold.
Yeah, 7 gold.
And then the
1
incense.
for each person.
Perfect.
Yep.
Everybody else makes their way over there. What's Roland doing? I'll pull you onto the map here so you have a... He's huge! He came back as a giant!
Has he always been huge?
Yeah, every time I click him, I have to fix it.
Sorry, I was on mute there. Roland is going to sleep.
Okay, cool. Let's see, Toblin. Alright.
Hang on just a minute. I gotta go AFK.
No worries. So, for those of you who are entering into the thing, you get some haggard looks from people around the room that are just kind of happy, and you know, some guys are playing some dice. You see Dormorlam, I assume, at the bar.
Ah, I'm performing for everybody, and everybody is loving me, and buying me drinks.
He's singing, and he's starting a tavern, just song round of different things. At this point,
Think of Mary and Pippin in the Green Dragon.
Yes,
singing on the tables.
Yeah,
that's me.
Singing. You see, Toblin comes up and said, "You're bringing in lots of business tonight. Keep it up, Master Dwarf." And he sets down another pint for you. This one's on the house.
Mighty kind of you. Glug, 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 glug.
The rest of you come in. Oh, my friends, you've made it back. You look pretty haggard. I assume you'll be taking a room.
Please.
Yes, please.
Everybody, here are my friends. I've been telling you all these stories about all the battles that we have fought and won together.
Everybody kind of stands and lifts their pints up, and a couple of which are kind of lifted up, but more like stumble forward and spill beer everywhere. So you guys kind of get an accord. Those of you who want to go upstairs, you go ahead and mark off for the... all right, do any of you want food, or are you guys just going to go to sleep?
I just want to go to sleep.
All right. Go ahead and put down 5 silver pieces per person. Go ahead and just mark those off. Unless some of you want to bunk together, then you can figure that out amongst yourselves.
I'll just get my own room.
Same here.
All right. So you guys go ahead. You do that now. Vinfina, cut back to Vinfina at the well. She's lighting incense. She places these coins down. Anything? Just quiet.
Say a little prayer. No, I'm just kidding.
Say a little prayer for me.
I just definitely sit there and ponder and think what we're supposed to do for our companions that are missing, and just all the loss and just all that stuff that's been happening. I'll sit there for a minute or 12 or something.
Okay. So the obvious barrier that you're used to, of feeling that very clear divide between the gods and human, that gate essentially that prevents direct access to them. You do feel the warmth and approval of not only your god, but also Timora. She smiles. You feel her warmth and her reassurance that if you keep doing what you're doing, that everything's going to be okay. And with that, everybody gets inspiration for doing some great, fun stuff.
Woo. I really think every time I've gone to these taverns, I've always been rolling natural 20s on my performance. I really think I perform great when I'm drunk.
You just got to get drunk before you go into battle. We'll see if you're hungover tomorrow. Just kidding. So you guys go ahead, you go to sleep, you get a long rest, and at this point, I will leave it up to you guys. Since we started at 7, we can either continue, or I, at this point, also have a place where we can stop it. What would you guys prefer? I'd leave it up to the jury.
We gotta get up early tomorrow. Kids have soccer games.
No problem. Okay, so at this point, you have the crickets and the slow pan out from the city, and the warm song of, jig and dance, and the occasional broken stein of beer, and it fades to black, and that's where we'll end it tonight. So good work, everybody.
Do care. Thank you.
Except you're broke now.
Yeah.
I know nothing of you being broke.
You just spend all your money on beer, all the money you got from on beer.
Everybody's buying it for me.
And for the record, if you are eating or drinking on a gallon of ale, that is 2 silver pieces, or for a mug, it's 4 copper pieces. I'm going to assume at the rate at which you're drinking it, you're probably getting 2 gallons. That would normally be 4 silver pieces, but you got them for free. Yes.
about.
I'm just telling you so that you don't expect free drinks everywhere you go.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, good work, guys.
Only if I can pull off my good performances.
Good work, good work. And I think Mr. Tortle was a fun stint.
Well, if you ever want to bring him back, I'm more than happy to play him.
If Roland ever dies again, then just kidding.
Hey Fuzzy, is there a way to like on like your character sheet in Roll20 to do the long rest so it resets everything?
Not in Roll20, but you can in D&D Beyond. And I would not be averse if you wanted to track most of that stuff in D&D Beyond, because I do. I prefer it over Roll20. So I wouldn't discount, because mostly Roll20 to me is really just good for clicking and having it roll for me. That's really all I find it good for. But it's up to you how you want to manage that. Alright, I'm going to stop the stream. Thanks for joining, everybody, and we'll start the Aurora. Anybody who needs help with their stuff, we'll get that all sorted out now. So, thanks for joining us. Bye.